Hey, it's been a long week, but yay!
Yay!
It's Shabbat. That's great. And books. Yay! This is Rabbi Bernstein's library. May his memory be blessed. Behind us. So we have access to tons of studies and information, which is great. Today, Torah Study with Rashi. We are in Parsha Bo, what does Bo mean? Go, come, come over here, go over, So it's very interesting because it really matters, because it makes a difference, right? There's a lot of sages out there, even, like Rabbi Bernstein, his memory blessed, Rabbi Shapiro, all those, they would tell you that Bo in context, like in this context, means to come. So when you look at, when Hashem is talking to Moshe, Shabbat Shalom, hey, yeah, look at that beautiful library, yes. It's nice, huh? Lost my train of thought. In this context, in Bo, actually, Hashem tells Moses, come to Pharaoh. Well, I thought he was away from Pharaoh. Wouldn't it make more sense for Hashem to say, go to Pharaoh? But no. Hashem says, come to Pharaoh. And that's how the sages interpret it. Now, there's books written on this. I am not going to go into that in detail because there's others way smarter than me that have figured that out. All right. But
Somewhere in there.
it's somewhere in here. But yeah. Yes, Revidson, yes, the books, the Talmud has been brought out of its boxes so they can breathe. All right. Shemot, chapter 10. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kedeshanu b'mitzvah v'tzavanu la'asoch debrivei Torah. Verse 1. Adonai said to Moshe, go to Pharaoh, for I have made him and his servants hard-hearted, so that I can demonstrate these signs of mine among them, so that you can tell your son and grandson about what I did to Egypt and about my signs that I demonstrated among them, so that you will all know that I am Adonai. Moshe and Aharon went in to Pharaoh and said to him, here is what Adonai, God of the Hebrews, says. How much longer will you refuse to submit to me? Let my people go so that they can worship me. Otherwise, if you refuse to let my people go, tomorrow I'll bring locusts into your territory. One won't be able to see the ground, so completely will the locusts cover it. They will eat anything you still have they will eat anything you still have that escaped the hail, including every tree have grown in the field. They will fill your houses and those of your servants and all of the Egyptians. It will be like nothing your fathers or their fathers have ever seen since the day they were born until today. Then he returned to his back and left. Pharaoh's servant said to him, how much longer must this fellow be a snare for us? Let the people go and worship Adonai their God. Don't you understand yet that Egypt is being destroyed? So Moshe and Aharon were brought to Pharaoh again, and he said to them, go worship Adonai your God, but who exactly is going? Moshe answered, we will go with our young and our old, our sons and our daughters. We will go with our flocks and herds, for we must celebrate a feast Adonai. Paro said to them, Adonai certainly will be with you if I ever let you go with your children. It's clear that you are up to no good. Nothing doing, just let the men among you may go and worship Adonai. That's what you wanted, isn't it? And they were driven out of Pharaoh's presence. Adonai said to Moshe, reach out your hand over the land of Egypt, so that locusts will invade the land and eat every plant that the hail has left. Moshe reached out with the staff over the land of Egypt. Adonai caused an east wind to blow on the land all day and all night. In the morning, the east wind brought the locusts. The locusts went up over all the land of Egypt, settled throughout Egypt's territory. It was an invasion more severe than there have ever been before or will ever be again, then completely covered the ground so that the ground looked black. They ate every plant growing from the ground and all the fruit of the trees left by the hail. Not one green thing remained, not a tree, not a plant in the field in all the land of Egypt. Pharaoh hurried to summon Moshe and Aaron and said, I have sinned against Adonai your God and against you. Now therefore, please forgive my sin just this once, and intercede with Adonai your God so that he will at least take away from me this deadly plague. He went out from Pharaoh, interceded with Adonai. Adonai reversed the wind and made it blow very strongly from the west. It took up the locusts and drove them into the sea of Suf. Not one locust remained on Egyptian soil. But Adonai made Pharaoh hard-hearted, and he didn't let the people of Israel go. Verse 21, Adonai said to Moshe, reach out your hand toward the sky, and there will be darkness over the land of Egypt, darkness so thick it can be felt. Moshe reached out his hand toward the sky, and there was a thick darkness in the entire land of Egypt for 3 days. People couldn't see each other. No one went anywhere for 3 days, but all the people of Israel had light in their homes. Pharaoh summoned Moshe and said, go worship Adonai. Only leave your flocks and herds behind. Your children may go with you. Moshe answered, you must also see to it that we have sacrifices and burnt offerings so that we can sacrifice to Adonai our God. Our livestock will also go with us. Not a hoof will be left behind, because we must choose some of them to worship Adonai our God, and we don't know which ones we will need to worship Adonai until we get there. But Adonai made Paro hard-hearted, and he would not let them go. Paro said to them, get away from me, and you had better not see my face again, because the day you see my face, you will die. Moshe answered, well spoken. I will see your face no more. Well, interesting. Locusts, darkness. There's a lot going on here. And you're going to have some interesting stuff here in the beginning of Bo. It's kind of interesting when you have the English translation. Some English translations would be different. So this here is going to be interesting from Rashi's point of view. Even from the Chumash that my wife was reading, it's different from Rashi's translation into English with Art Scroll. So we're going to go back to the beginning of the Parsha. Okay. All right, let's see here. Make sure I'm not anything. Okay, good. All right, so verse 1. I'm just going to say verse 1 and verse 2 together from Rashi's interpretation. Here it goes. Hashem said to Moses, come to Pharaoh, for I have made his heart and the heart of his servants stubborn. Right, so this is a different, what was this one? For I had, in a complete Jewish Bible, it said, for I have made him and his servants hard-hearted. Right, and so this one, the Rashi translation, says stubborn, which, I don't know, for me, it made more sense on Rashi's point of view, because, you have different ways of saying hard-hearted and stuff like that, but this one is like more, it's stubborn. Okay, that's my mindset. So that I shall place these signs of mine in his midst. In verse 2, so that you may relate in the ears of your son and your son's son that I have amused myself with Egypt in my signs that I place among them, that you may know that I am Hashem. You'll see the words like mockery and stuff like that. And this one's pretty much self-explanatory to me, and it says, oh, Hashem amused himself. Yeah. Anyway.
I thought it was interesting that it said that his servants would be hard-hearted. I guess people that would give him advice or whatever.
Yeah.
But they never give a mention of that down in 7, it says the servants are saying, "Why don't we just let him go?"
Right.
So they don't actually seem very hard-hearted.
They don't seem very hard-hearted. It's kind of if you look at it, that would be correct. So maybe after this one plague, the servants finally said, "Okay, that's it. We give up."
They were ready to give up.
Yeah. They're like, "Look, our place is destroyed. Come on now. Can't you see that?"
Just let him go. In fact, make him go. Get
All
out.
right. Verse 2, no, I already said that. All right, go back to verse 1, the first part. This is Rashi saying this. Hashem said to Moshe, Moshe, come to Pharaoh and warn him. So the idea of what Hashem was saying to come to Pharaoh was for one purpose. And that one purpose was to warn Pharaoh. That's it. So the clause that follows, for I have made his heart, this is from the notes here, and the heart of his servants heavy, appears to serve as a reason for God's command that Moses go to Pharaoh. It does not, however, provide a logical explanation. Why should Moses come to Pharaoh because his heart has become heavy? Rashi teaches that that come to Pharaoh means come and warn him, come and warn Pharaoh. God anticipated Moses' possible question, what reason would there be for any further warning? Did Pharaoh not already admit above, I have sinned this time, and would thus comply with any future demands? Now we have to go back to chapter 9, verse 27, and the last week's parsha about that. God then goes on to explain that there is good reason to warn him, for I have made his heart heavy, and his compliance is by no means a foregone conclusion. So, anyway, as I shall place, it means in the sense of I will put. So, in other words, he's just, and I think we can probably understand the English of it. It's just Hashem will put. Okay. Verse 2, I have amused myself. This means I have made sport of. Right, so Hashem is making sport of Pharaoh.
Mine says can toy with him.
Can toy with him, that's it.
He just says mocked. Messing around.
So, but anyway, it's just basically Hashem is just messing around with Pharaoh on this one, which we know that. All right, verse 3, to be humbled. Right, this is to be understood as Targum Onkelos renders it, which is to be humbled, of course. It is derived from the same root as the same Hebrew word for poor. God is saying to Pharaoh, you have refused to become poor and lowly before me. Right, so this is in reference to be humbled. So there's a lot of references here, at least from Rashi, about Targum Onkelos. So that would be a good idea to at least look at that Targum. And then if you don't know what a Targum is, it's a Aramaic translation of Torah. So you can get let's just say it's better than English. It's not Hebrew, but it's better in English because Hebrew and Aramaic are kind of a little more related. It's sister language, cousin language. So they're a lot more related. So
They're both verb-based too.
I believe, yes, I believe they're all they're both verb-based. For example, when in a Brit Hadashah, if you say they're not Targums, but there's Aramaic translations of the Brit Hadashah, or at least books of the Brit Hadashah, right? And it have to be, and there's a couple different types. There's ones with the Syriac letters, and then there's some with the Hebrew letters, right? So the Aramaic looks like Hebrew, yes. So Aramaic, I don't have the answer to the question. Which one is it? Does it Hebrew letters or Syriac letters? Right, but it's a language. And so we hear in Aydat HaDerekh and Rabbi Bernstein, may his memory be blessed, would read off the Hebrew text of the Aramaic Targums, where there's those in a body Messiah on the other side would go for the Syriac lettering. Anyway, little side note, sidebar. Because when Rabbi Bernstein would teach from the Brit Hadashah, he would have the Peshitta, the Aramaic translation of the Brit Hadashah, of whatever book he was reading, or like Mattiyahu or something like that, or if there was one of the Book of Hebrews. I don't know if there was or not.
I have one.
The Book of You have a complete Peshitta? Yeah, okay. So you can get an idea. Rabbi Bernstein taught John 1:1 off the Peshitta, and it's a total, it's logos means one thing, which is fine. John was a great writer, but the Hebrew word, not the Hebrew word, the Aramaic word that was used, whole different world. Not get into that, but I'll try to see if I can find a teaching on it and put it up one of these days. I still have a library I'm going through. But, speaking of that, I have started, as well, since talking about it, I am started on a video series on Pirkei Avot by Rabbi Bernstein. It's going to be a 7-video series of him teaching Pirkei Avot, which, Bezrat Hashem, I will start, the first video will be up and running within the first Shabbat after Pesach. Because Pirkei Avot is traditionally read between Pesach and Shavuot, right, on like during those weeks. I will count how many videos I have, because I don't know, I have 6 or 7. We should have 7 Shabbats, or Shabbatot. Or what does Slade say? Shabbosim? Shabbatot, that sounds better. Anyway, that's so that's hopefully Bezrat Hashem in the future. It's going to be fun. I started on the first video. So yeah, it'd be good. Be a good series.
Is this something he taught in adult ed?
It's something he taught in adult ed.
So that each video will be about 30 minutes or something?
Each video will be about 30 to 45 minutes once I'm done with it. Each video uncut and unedited is about an hour, right? But then there's discussions, and then there's pauses and stuff like that. So I edit some of those out.
Because of the length of them, he never
Right.
gets through them from end to end.
Right, and
There's
then
a lot more for you to go dig yourself.
right, and there's people that talk in the video that's not Rabbi Bernstein at length, and I can't hear them on the video. Right, and so if you can't hear them on the video, or they're kind of mumbly, why should they be there? And if it doesn't make much sense to what he's teaching, so I kind of do some editing out and to make it more of a fluid teaching from him, right? Now, if there's some good questions,
So if he answers a question that you can't hear, would you edit that out, or would you?
if the answer is relevant to the teaching, I will leave the answer in. Now, if I can make out, if the person's close enough to the camera, I can bump up the volume of the person in the back. And make it's going to sound tinny, or you could probably still hear the question in the back. But if you say have somebody in the far back and it's more of like, I can't, no matter how much
Send it to the FBI.
yeah,
That's why we used to ask him, repeat the question, because the other people can't hear it.
right. But even then, if you can't, he may be able to hear the question, right? Or it's kind of interesting how I have to look at that, because there's some questions that are relevant and be like, oh yeah, that's a good question. Then there's somebody who's just given the story of their life, and I'm like, but that has nothing to do with what he just said. I don't know where that.
Or it's too fringe.
Thank you, Revison. Or it's too fringe. Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
so it's like that. But if there's somebody that says, well, what if, like in the book of, if anybody who's read, there is a video series out there that is from Rabbi Bernstein, the book of Hebrews. Goes up to chapter 10. And unfortunately he couldn't finish, but he went up to chapter 10. And so you would have like a question from, like, say, you, right? That is a really good question. And the answer from Rabbi Bernstein is equally just as good. And you're like, so I have to capture that question, right? So I would capture that question. But then I would ask a stupid question, right? And then he would look at me with a look, be like, no. I'm like, I'm editing that out, right? It's like, I am not going to.
You're not gonna suffer this twice.
I'm not going to suffer this twice. No, I'm suffering it like multiple times because I have to listen to it to cut it out. Oh, good. No, I try to leave the funny stuff with Rabbi Bernstein as much as possible because his humor in these teachings are invaluable, because when you're like something that's like super serious, and then he'll look at you and be like, it's simple. I don't even know why y'all worried about this. Why is everybody all worried about it? And then I'll tell him some type of reason why people on the other side of the aisle are all,
He's like, really?
caught up in a twist. And he's like, really? And then I'll give him an explanation, and he'll look at me like, what? I have no, and that's fine. But his humor was fantastic. Anyway,
Yes.
all right, sidebar over. Moving back. Exodus, we are in chapter 10. Now we are in verse 5. Now, verse 5, when we're talking about this, it will cover the sight of the land so that he will not be able to see the land. So this is the locusts that are coming. Okay. The sight of the land from Rashi, this means the whole view of the land, right? And he will not be able, this means the onlooker will not be able to actually see the land because the locusts are covering all of it. Instead of land, they're going to see locusts. Okay? But this particular verse, Rashi says, kind of speaking in a abbreviated manner. Okay. Verse 7, the Pharaoh's servants said to him, how long will this be a snare for us? And he will send out the men that they. Let's see right here. I don't know why this. Can you look at this for me? Thank you. This to be understood. Do not. Okay. Send out the men that they may serve Hashem, their God. Do you not yet know that Egypt is lost? This is the.
I don't know who that's from, but it's funny.
Oh, okay. That's from Slade, I think.
Oh.
So this means, have you not yet know that Egypt's lost? Okay, so here it is. Do you not yet know? This means, have you not yet realized that Egypt is lost? Which, a lot of us were like, okay, fine, and we kind of get that from the original translation, English translation. Why does Rashi have to move on, say something like it's like a repetition? But he wants to make sure that we understand that it actually means, have you not yet realized that Egypt is lost? So these are the servants talking to Pharaoh, saying, hey, look, dude, don't you realize that Egypt's gone with like the locusts, the hail, and all this other stuff going on? Yeah.
Just let him go.
So verse 8, so Moses and Aaron returned to Pharaoh, and he said to them, go and serve Hashem, your God. Which ones are going? So this is the question of Pharaoh. And Moses said, verse 9, with our youngsters, with our elders, shall we go. With our sons and with our daughters, with our flock and with our cattle shall we go, because it is a festival of Hashem for us. This is Moshe's answer. So, here's Rashi. So Moses and Aaron were returned. They did not come on their own. Rather, they were returned by a messenger, whom the Egyptians had sent after them and returned them to Pharaoh. So basically, he answers a question that maybe we have not, he answers a question that we may not have thought of yet. Like, okay, so Moses and Aaron were returned, but see my translation here, the other one is CJB said, so Moses and Aaron were brought to Pharaoh again. So the idea of the words is just saying that they didn't just all of a sudden decide to turn around and come back to see Pharaoh. They were encouraged to return back to Pharaoh by messenger. All right. Verse 10, when I will send you and your children. All right, so verse 10, I'm going to read the verse. He said to them, so be Hashem with you when I will send you and your children. Exclamation mark. See that evil faces you. Right? Not so, verse 11, let the men go now. Serve Hashem for that which is that is what you request. And he drove them away from Pharaoh's presence. Okay, verse 10. And I will send you and your children. Right? All the more so if I also send the flocks and cattle, as you said. Right? So what he's saying here, although Moses and Aaron requested that not only the children, but even the flocks and cattle accompany them, Pharaoh here mentioned only the children as if to say, you would need divine protection even if I were to allow you to go with your children. All the more so if I also send the flocks and cattle as you requested. I refuse to send the children, and it goes without saying that I refuse to send all the flocks and cattle. Okay. So, Maskil la David or Be'er Yitzhak understood Rashi as even if Pharaoh thus is saying, even if I were to send your flocks and cattle, you would need divine protection if I were to allow you to take your children. So, let's see here. See that evil faces you, which is it's still in verse 10, after he says, so be Hashem with you when I send you and your children. See that evil faces you, which in here in the other translation, it's clear you're up to no good. Okay? The meaning of this phrase is as Targum Onkelos renders it. Okay? Which is, see that evil faces you. That's how Targum Onkelos renders it. But Rashi is now going to give an Agadic midrash, meaning he's going to give a story from the midrash, okay? So you always remember that, and I know we say this all the time, and I know everybody here on this table is probably tired of hearing it, right? It's a midrash. Did it actually happen this way? You just missed the point, right? It doesn't necessarily mean it happened this way, but it kind of explains what's going on. Okay. So to see that evil faces you. This is the meaning of this phrase as Targum Onkelos renders it. Okay? But I have heard, this is Rashi, I have heard an Agadic midrash which interprets this phrase, see that evil faces you. Okay. Otherwise, this is the midrash, there is a star whose name is Ra'ah. Pharaoh said to Moses and Aaron, I see through my astrological predictions that star Ra'ah ascending to meet you in the wilderness. Okay? And it is an omen of blood and killing. Okay, so this is the story. Let's understand what he's saying here, right? The midrash starts, right? There is a star of the name Ra'ah, right? And which is evil, and that the star is in the astrological projections of Egypt, right? In what they use to do astrology or whatever, for their predicting of the future. And this star, right, is ascending to meet Israel in the wilderness, because, they're saying they want to go out into the wilderness. And it is an omen of blood and killing. All right, so this is the omen. Okay? Now, the Midrash continues. When the Israelites sinned with the golden calf, and the Holy One, blessed is He, wished to kill them, Moses said in his prayer, why should Egypt say he took them out in evil in Ra'ah? This is what Pharaoh had said to them. See that the star Ra'ah is facing you, evil Ra'ah facing you. Immediately following this prayer, we find Hashem reconsidering regarding the star Ra'ah, and he transformed the blood which the star initially augured as blood of death into blood of circumcision. For Joshua circumcised them upon their entry into the land of Israel. This is what the verse says. Today, the day in which the circumcision was performed, I have rolled away the humiliation of Egypt from upon you, and they would humiliate you and say to you, we see blood decreed upon you in the desert. Right, so they're talking about that this blood from the star Ra'ah ended up, instead of the blood of killing, became the blood of the circumcision as they were entering into Israel in the time of Joshua. Very interesting midrash, right? So you would say that if you're not, and this would be me a while ago, if you didn't understand what a midrash was, you would think that it was actually talking about, right, instead of this being like a midrash. And for those out there that may see this video, a midrash is, think of it like a parable, kind of. It's just kind of give you an idea. It's a story. Did it actually happen? That's not the point. It's to tell you something. Okay.
The president chopped down the cherry tree as a kid.
The president didn't chop down a cherry.
What?
The president didn't chop down a cherry tree? No. Rabbitson, did you hear that? Why didn't you tell me that?
I thought you knew.
I didn't know that. I thought he said he didn't tell. Did he tell a lie too? Huh?
Well, there was blood in the wilderness, though.
There was blood in the
With
wilderness.
the
Well, with the
golden
plague,
calf
yeah,
and
there
all
was
the people
plague,
that died, so,
True.
things did happen.
Things did happen. That would be correct.
Yes.
Right. But then in the end, it ended up turning out for good.
Yeah,
And
and it
that's-
affected those who decided to go with that.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Verse 11. We're getting far. All right. Verse 11 states, not so, let the men go now and serve Hashem, for that is what you request. And he drove them from, which is Moses and Aaron, away from Pharaoh's presence. Not so here, according to Rashi, as you said, take the children with you. Rather, let the men go and worship Hashem, for this is what you request. For it is this worship that you requested up until this point, for you had asked, let us sacrifice our God. And it's not usual for children to participate in sacrifice. So the idea of what Rashi's saying here is that, look, right, you're talking about leaving, going to do sacrifices and stuff. I was not under the impression that children were going to be included in all of this. So that's why I'm telling you no. And he drove them away. This is abbreviated verse which does not specify who's the one who chased them away from Pharaoh. So basically what Rashi's saying here is the verse states, and he drove them away from Pharaoh's presence. Who drove Aaron and Moses away? We don't know.
I imagine Pharaoh had people to do that. So
You would think Pharaoh had people to do that. You're right. It just doesn't state it in Torah that that's what it is. And that's all Rashi's saying here.
Tammy listened to something that said, when he said, Pharaoh says, Adonai certainly will be with you if I ever let you go with your children.
Yeah.
that was totally sarcasm.
Oh,
Right.
total
I
sarcasm,
wouldn't,
yes.
I wouldn't have read it that way,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because I'm not sarcastic.
So you're not sarcastic?
It's like
I'm
the
getting
Lord
revelations
said,
today.
God
I had
would
no
say,
idea.
I'd have to be with you before I would ever. I
Yeah,
mean,
okay, yeah.
that would
Right.
definitely prove God was with you.
Yeah.
Because I ain't
Yeah.
doing it.
Right.
I
Doing
read a
it.
thing, of course, it was sort of trying to, extrapolate out of the Old Testament to happenings today, but it's kind of like he suspected
Mm.
some, some doings that weren't on the up and up.
Right.
But if he's left with the children, he can
Yes.
change the whole generation. I mean, it's like,
Oh.
that kind of thing today.
Right.
Like, well, we're letting the school system
Right.
train our children up, and
Right.
it's like,
Yeah.
leave your kids, and then I'll have the whole generation and have them
Well,
all.
also, they're more likely
Right.
to come back.
Exactly.
Kids are-
And more likely to come back to kids there.
Although
But-
it depends
yeah.
on the children.
It is.
Depends on the children.
Yeah,
And I
for
just-
teenagers, they will
I'm-
come back.
I'm getting all this stuff. I'm learning that the cherry tree wasn't chopped down.
I know.
Greg is not sarcastic. Next thing you know, the Rebbe's is going to tell me she doesn't have a sense of humor. My mind is blown. Okay, all right. Okay. I'm just joking, Robinson. You already know that. For the locust storm, verse 12. This means for the purpose of the plague of the locusts. So the idea is, verse 12, Hashem said to Moses, stretch out your hand over the land of Egypt for the locust swarm, and it will ascend upon the land of Egypt and eat all the grass of the land, everything that they all had left. Okay, so this basically for the locust swarm, when he stated, reach out or stretch out your hand over the land for the locust swarm, it just means for the purpose of the plague of the locusts. Basically, stretch out your hand so the plague can come, or the locust can come. That's basically the idea. Verse 13, Moses stretched his staff over the land of Egypt, and Hashem guided an east wind through the land all the day and all the night. It became morning, and the east wind carried the locust swarm. All right, guys, I got a question for you. Okay, my question is, when you're talking about an east wind, is it going toward the east or from the east?
I think it'd be coming from the
Coming
east.
from the east.
It's coming from the east, and that's what it is? Okay. All right. I'm thinking that's what it is, too. What's your question?
Well, in several places it will say that Adonai said, reach out your hand, but then every time it says, Moses reached out his staff.
Right.
So it goes from hand to staff.
Hand to staff, that's a good question.
He's holding the
Well,
staff.
hand-
Well, right, and I'm wondering if that's all it is, but I'm
Right.
trying to think more into it. But
Yeah.
God, like Adonai always said, reach out your hand, but Moses always reached out his staff. So is there a play on words
Right.
there? What does that mean? Again,
So,
I'm not much into it.
So the question is in regards to when Hashem asked Moshe to reach out, stretch out his hand, Torah then says Moses stretched out his staff. And is there something is there something in there, or is it just like, yeah, because it's more than once. It happens more than once. Yeah.
At least.
Yeah. You're right. And so, is there something in there? Rashi, at least in so far that I've read, so far, has not mentioned anything in regards to that. But I may have missed it. But that doesn't mean it's not there, because Rashi is on a pashat. So what you're asking could be more on an esoteric level. Ramban may have something to that effect. In other words, there's no wasted words in Torah.
Right.
So if there's something like that said, there has to be something.
More than
There's something to it.
times at least.
Yeah.
Well, we step forward a little bit in the story later on when they're at the sea,
hmm
and now they're all complaining about how the Egyptians are coming, and what does God say to him? He says, what is that in your hand?
Right.
And he identifies that staff. Okay, then get busy.
Right.
Put it out
But that doesn't really answer the question between what the staff and the hand.
No, but it shows where the authority is. Or the
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, the staff.
The action is.
Right. Okay.
Even when he was giving him signs, he said, he did it through the staff.
Yes. The staff was part of it. Yes.
I have a follow-up question though, because like in 7:19 it says, say to Aaron, take your staff.
Right.
And it was Aaron's staff that was turned into a snake, and Aaron's staff that turned
Well,
into the rivers.
here's the question: was it Aaron's staff?
Wow, it says.
Or was it
Amazing.
Moshe's? Or what? Moshe's? Was it Moses' staff? Right? Are they both using the
So
same
they-
staff?
They have only one staff among them?
Oh, see that, but that
No, that's my question.
that's a very good question, and that actually is the same. And I think that's approached in the book of Bed-Midbar with the Aaron's staff as well, growing, budding and stuff, the almonds and stuff, and then and all of that. So it's a very deep and long answer to that question. Is it the same or is it different? And the answer is yes. Right. So did Moshe have a staff? And the answer yes, he did have a staff. Did Aaron have a staff? Yes. The answer is Aaron had a staff. Is it the same staff? Maybe. And there's different sages that will argue both points, and they both have good answers. And we're not going to go into that answer. PJ, good Shabbos. Okay. All right. So the east wind, which comes from the east, east that way, maybe? Okay. And the east wind bore the locusts, for it comes toward Egypt. As Egypt was southwest from Eretz Israel, as explained elsewhere. So, it comes toward Egypt from the east, but it tells us that Egypt was northeast of Israel. Sorry, Israel's northeast of Egypt. I don't see the relevance in that either. I was just, as Egypt was southwest of Eretz Israel, as explained elsewhere, I think he's just telling you positioning in the land. Okay. Right. Look, there's many people may not have been that astute with the geography at that time. I don't know. Right. Verse 14. The locust swarms ascended over the entire land of Egypt, and it rested in the entire border of Egypt very severely. Before it there was never a locust swarm like it, and after it there will not be like it. Okay, so Rashi is going to say something here that we have to think of it. Think of very interesting, because they're going to bring up a Joel chapter 2, verse 2. And Joel talks about a locust plague. And that one is bad too. Like worse, supposedly, at least it sounds worse, than the one of Egypt. But Torah says there's going to be never a plague like it. And if, ever, right? I mean, you would think that never would be future tense too. All right. Here's what Rashi says to this. And after it, there will not be like it. Right? And of that plague of locusts, which took place in the days of Joel, it is said there was never one like it, a plague of locusts. Okay, so he brought out Joel, because there is what you would think, a machloket here, a dilemma, because they got two verses, Torah, don't forget the mummy. Oh.
Does it mean never one like it in Egypt?
Well, we're getting to that. So there's never one like it, and there's never one like it, because it's, okay. So there's a difference. So this teaches us that it was more severe than the plague of Moses. Okay, so Rashi is saying here the plague of locusts in Joel is more severe than the plague of locusts during Moses' time. Well, that still doesn't make sense, because Torah says there was never one like it. But it's different. Something's got to be different about this to make it separate. Okay, because the plague of Joel came about through many species of locusts which were together. Namely, the four species of Arbe, Yelech, Chasol, and Gazam. Okay? But the plague of Moses was composed of only one variety. One like it, so heavy a plague of one variety of a locust alone never was before it, and never will it be after it. Okay, so here's the difference, right? this plague in Egypt was, according to Rashi, what he just said, one variety of locusts, right? And yes, there's multiple varieties apparently. Okay, those who are not locust, aficionados, which is not me. But according to Rashi, in Joel, there is 4 different types of locusts that are involved in that plague. So it goes to reason, since there's 4 different species, I guess, 4 different types, that would be a greater plague than the one in Egypt because there was only one. There it is, right there. That's what Rashi is saying. He tried to fix this machloket. Say fix it, try to explain it. Okay.
I would have said Egypt is a whole lot bigger country than Israel.
Oh, yeah.
Egypt is a
So
lot
the
bigger.
locust plague over the whole land of Egypt
Right.
would just be
Right. Okay. I see your
a
point.
whole lot worse.
Yeah.
It covered every inch of ground.
Yeah.
Of course, Egypt's desert everywhere except the Nile River. That's where all the locusts would have been eating the green.
Yeah, well, yeah, wherever there was green, yeah, that's right. You would think that would be worse because there was more land area, right? Yeah, but he's saying Joel's plague, and is that one in
Worse
in
for
Israel?
Israel. Well,
Is it in Israel? I have to look up Joel to see the context of where this plague is, and I don't know. So, all right, it looks like it's in Israel,
Blow the shofar in Tzitzion.
and it's Zion. Okay, so there's the plague is worse.
For them.
It could be worse for them, yeah. Yeah, there's now that we think of it from this point of view, right? It's like from a more of a different viewpoint or Jewish point of view. You can come up with these good answers like this. You can say, "Oh, well, yeah, that makes sense. What about this?" Or I like that.
aren't locusts one of the edible species?
There are some locusts that are kosher. Yes,
Maybe one of those 4 are real tasty.
Yeah.
one of
Great.
those
We
4 are
gotta
real
try
tasty. I'm
it.
not going to talk about that.
Try it.
All right.
That would be
Maybe
a,
it's a Chris,
that's a food out
I
there.
thought that was locusts and Joel.
Okay. Verse 15. Any greenery. That's nice. Greenery. I know that drove you crazy. I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Yeah. So it just means green leaf. Anything that had a green leaf on it. Verse 19. And so he jumps to 19. Right? He totally missed. It did not say anything about. And now please forgive my sin just this time and entreat Hashem that he may remove from me only this death. So according to this part, Rashi doesn't say anything in regards to that. That doesn't mean other sages don't go into it. Or Rashi doesn't mention it somewhere else, but he doesn't mention it here. So we're going to verse 19. So Hashem turned back a very powerful west wind, and it carried the locust swarm and hurled it to the sea of reeds. Not a single locust remained within the entire border of Egypt. But Hashem strengthened the heart of Pharaoh, and he did not send out the children of Israel. So the west wind, so where does the west wind come from? It comes from the west, right? It's not going to the west, it's coming from the west. I have this problem. West wind, that must be it's going to the west, right? Because it's going west, right? But no, it's coming from the west. It's like an east wind comes from the east, or I don't even, it's,
Our weather reports go that way. Oh, the rains are coming in out of the west.
that doesn't help me.
It's
Oh yeah, we have a southwesterly breeze.
yeah.
Okay, so what, is the wind going southwest? I have no idea.
Coming from.
It's coming from the southwest. I'm learning. I had to reorient myself to understand
You
that.
go back out on that sailboat with Gary, you better know where the winds are coming, my friend.
I don't know if I'm going to go on a sailboat in the near future.
You need to remind-
Yeah.
You mentioned sailboat.
Well, I'll talk to Gary about that. We can see if we can't get you back out there.
Yeah,
you
maybe.
gotta fix it first.
A north wind is cold. Oh yes.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So it's coming.
I know that the Rebbetzin is probably enjoying a nice cold north wind right now. Anyway, so this wind came from the west. So west wind comes from the west. So therefore, it is pushing what is west of Egypt. Yes, back to the desert. What else? If the
Or
answer's in
desert.
the answer's in Torah. Where is it? What's west? What's east of Egypt?
Oh, you changed. You said west originally.
Did I say west of Egypt? Oh,
Yeah.
I must be getting tired. My apologies. What's east of Egypt?
Oh, the Sea of Reeds.
Sea of Reeds, right. Which is also called what?
Sea of South.
Sea of Self. And what else is it called?
The Red Sea.
The Red Sea. All right. Okay, so west wind, that means wind from the west, to the Sea of Reeds, this is Rashi. I say that the Sea of Reeds was partially to the west of Eretz Israel, right, opposite its entire southern side, also partly to the east of Eretz Israel. Okay, so what is he saying? So the Sea of Reeds is partly to the east of Israel and partly to the west of Israel. What are you talking about?
Well, the Sinai Peninsula sticks out into it, and it's like a Y.
So you have a Y, that's correct, right. So he's talking about, look, you have two fingers, if you will, coming up, and you have the Sinai Peninsula, or what we call Yemen and Saudi. No, I'm right. Yeah. The Persian Gulf is a finger. And this is another finger. Look it up. Right, because the Sinai Peninsula is in the center.
Here's the Sinai Peninsula. This is Saudi Arabia. Yemen is way down here.
What? Stop it. I'm looking at a map.
That's an old map.
It is an old map. Oh, okay, you're right. I am right. The Persian Gulf. The Persian Gulf is still farther, but that's not the Persian Gulf. Okay, that's my mistake. I will take accountability for being wrong, which I always reserve the right to be. Anyway. Okay, so all right, 10:47. All right, guys. We'll stop there with me not knowing geography, as I was just talking about geography. Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Oh, here, you got a tiny little piece of the Persian